Hello, friends. Welcome aboard the Round Trip Stories podcast, where we share stories of moving around the world and back again, reflecting on the lessons we've learned along the way. My name is Melissa.
And my name is Tracy, and we are excited to welcome you to this Round Trip Stories Customs episode. We value the cultures and customs we've experienced around the world, and we love hearing stories about cultures and customs from other travelers or global neighbors. If you've traveled internationally, you're probably familiar with the process of going through customs when you enter another country.
Just like you don't know what questions the customs agent is going to ask you in the airport, we don't know what we will be discussing in these customs conversations. We will simply pick a customs topic out of a virtual hat and see where the conversation takes us. Flight crew, prepare for takeoff. So, Tracy, I am really excited about these customs episodes because I think they're going to be fun. And I think it's neat that they are really inspired by our actual, real, in-life friendship. Whenever we get together, you know that it doesn't matter why we're meeting. We almost always end up on some kind of rabbit trail talking about schools or holidays or traffic or markets or education in other countries. And while I know that it's going to be fun to talk with you about global customs like we always do, I'm even more excited that we are going to get to invite our friends and listeners to share their stories with us as part of these conversations.
Yes, Melissa, I'm looking forward to hearing other people's stories too. We came up with a list of over 50 story prompts related to culture and customs, including everything from shopping to education, from weddings to funerals. So what we're going to do is use a random number generator to pick the topic for us. But since this is our first custom story conversation, we chose the prompt for today.
Yes, drum roll, please. Our customs story prompt for today is customs. The kind of customs like at an airport or at a country border, or perhaps when you're sending packages abroad, any of those kind of customs when goods are being transported in between countries, you always have to go through customs. So we are going to share a couple of stories about customs today, and then we are going to invite some friends and listeners and subscribers to share their stories with us as well, and so that we can share those with you. So my customs story goes back to when I was living in Peru, and my mom and one of my best childhood friends came to visit us. And my mom does not really speak Spanish. She knows some words and some songs, but she doesn't really speak Spanish. And my friend, Sandra, who I've known forever, her family is Mexican-American, and so she speaks Spanish, but her Spanish is Mexican-influenced Spanish, not Peruvian Spanish. So when they came to visit us, as they were going through immigration and then customs in Lima, you come around the corner, and one of the funny things at the airport there in Lima is that you actually come up to a place where you push a button and there's going to be a light that's going to light up that's either green or red. And if it's green, you get to just go straight through and nobody's going to look at your stuff or ask you any questions. But if you get the red light, then you have to stop and they're going to look through all your bags.
They have that in Mexico too. I don't think they have that in China. But yeah, the green light, red light.
Yeah. And so my friend and my mom got stopped, and my mom happened to be bringing with her some cake decorating supplies because she was going to teach the ladies at the church that I worked with how to decorate cakes. And because that's just something she knows how to do and something that we knew they would enjoy. So she had all of her semi-professional cake decorating stuff. Well, I mean, some of it. So she has this little kit that has all these little metal cone-shaped frosting tips. And they're in this special case, and she brought that along with her. And so when the customs guys were looking through their things, they found these frosting tips, and they had no idea what in the world they were. So
that's so hilarious.
Yeah. So and I don't know if they were concerned or if they were just curious, but so they asked them, like, what are these things? And so my friend Sandra starts trying to explain what they are in her Spanish, and she's telling them they are para decorar pasteles, which is how in Mexico you would say they're to decorate cakes. But in Peru, they don't call cakes pasteles. And so they didn't know what she was talking about, like to decorate what? And so eventually somehow they figured out, oh, she was talking about cakes. And they were like, oh, well, here they're not called pasteles. We call them, and this is all in Spanish, we call them tortas. But in Mexico, a torta is a sandwich. And so then Sandra's like, but wait, that's a sandwich. And then they ended up figuring out that, she realized they were talking about sandwiches, and they were like, well, here, a torta, what you would call a torta, we call a sandwich or sanguche. And so it was just this hilarious conversation about sandwiches and cakes and like what, calling different things all in customs in the airport before she'd even gotten farther into the country.
Because of a nice grandmother who was bringing cake decorating supplies into the country. That's so funny.
Yes, right. So thankfully they did let them they believed them, and they let her keep her things and didn't confiscate them. And
yes,
it was all good. That's my custom story.
Okay, well, my custom story also has to do with my mom. And not her coming to China, but she delivered a package, or she sent a package just in time for Christmas for us. And, gift giving is a special thing. And so she actually sent this really nice wool coat, I think, to my husband. And it was a nice quality. My mom has good taste. And there were some other, nice gifts in the package as well. Well, unbeknownst to us, there's actually like a price limit on packages that can be received maybe to foreigners into the country.
And this was by mail that she sent it?
Yes, this was by mail. And so then along with the package, she had to declare like the item and the price, the value of the item. So I guess the total value was above what was the limit of what I could receive. And so we got word that this package was stuck in customs in the Beijing airport. And we got word through our school, because our school just basically communicated everything for us. Like, they gave us housing, they gave us a job, they gave us education for our kids, and they helped us with everything. So they were like, hey, your package is stuck. And so we're like, well, what do we do? And they said, well, the customs department wants you to write a letter of apology, apologizing that you are receiving this package and it's over the limit and that you will never do it again. And so we had to write a letter of apology and just really be very remorseful through our words to the Chinese customs.
We're so sorry for causing so much trouble.
Yes. And mafan ni is I'm troubling you. And it was delivered, and it released our package from customs, and it made it to underneath our plastic Christmas tree in our Chinese apartment.
Yay.
And I think we still have that coat, too. But nobody ever sent us expensive things again. Let's listen to what our email subscribers and other social media subscribers have to share with us about their custom stories. This message is from Sarah, and she says, I was flying through Amsterdam, and the customs officer decided I didn't look like my passport photo. I suppose my hair was completely different and my photo looked more washed out than I did in living color. It was a tense several minutes while I waited my fate. Sarah, we hope you made it through.
She must have, because I think she did get through. But isn't that funny? Because people, like, we don't always look like our passport photos.
Right.
So this next story is from Harold, and this story took place in the 1980s when they were traveling from the U.S. back to Panama. And he said, as we returned to Panama, where we were living, from a 2-month visit to the USA, we took our 3 kids and all our suitcases through customs at the Panama City airport. They asked us to open the one that had the case of spun honey in it. Why honey in our suitcase? Because it was special Busy Bee honey from Hillsboro, Kansas, where Helen, his wife, grew up. And our whole family really liked it. The customs agent plunged his hand down toward the bottom of the suitcase to see what he could feel. And when he brought it out, it was dripping with honey. We had to explain why we had it. We gave him the container that he had, quote unquote, opened, and he wished us well and on our way.
Wow. That was nice of them to give the customs agent the honey.
I don't know why they didn't want the honey back after his hand had been in it. Can you imagine what that customs agent was thinking when he pulled his hand out of a suitcase dripping with honey? He must have been so confused.
Yeah, all the things that customs agents see, right?
I wonder if that guy stopped sticking his hand into suitcases and things without looking first. Seems like that would be dangerous.
Yes, and these things are so special to us, right? Because Harold and Helen probably wouldn't get that honey for a long time after.
Yes,
we all have special things that we take back from our home country to like tide us over until we can get it again.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm glad that they had more than just one.
Okay, our next story is from Helen, and this is even from the 1970s. I love that these stories are from a long time ago. Okay, so this guest was flying from the Congo to Hawaii, and so she was going through customs in Hawaii. And Helen says, my husband and I and our good friends decided to travel through Asia on our way back from teaching school in Kinshasa, Congo. We each had a young one. There's 11-month-old daughter and we a 9-month-old son, both in backpacks, making the trip with us. So we were extra thankful to come back to the good old USA, arriving from Japan, making our first stop in Honolulu, Hawaii. However, we didn't find the customs officials very welcoming. Oh no. My friend, thinking ahead, got Playtex bottle liner bags and prepared each with a portion of milk formula, enough for the whole trip, having to just find bottled water to add. Oh yes, we mothers have to do so much, don't we, to prepare for trips. So yes. Helen says this was so important to her daughter because she was only accustomed to having powdered milk that they used in Congo, and she had various dietary restrictions. Each couple found a different customs line to go through, so we were across the room from each other. I noticed that there was some commotion at our friend's table. The mother was shouting at the officer while he insisted that he take these suspicious bags of white powder and dispose of them. So frustrated that the officer would not listen to her pleas for mercy that she pointed across the room at me and shouted, I suppose you're going to take her milk away too. Yes. So the officer got very excited and motioned to the inspector near us to check out us as well. I calmly informed the officers that I was breastfeeding my child and would not be giving up any of my milk. My friend obviously knew this, but was trying to make a point. If the officer had only stuck his finger in the powder and tasted it, it would have made that trip so uneventful. But it was in the beginning of the drug findings, and I'm sure the officer just wanted to follow their new procedures. It was a real hassle to try to find milk for their daughter because it was late at night and stores were closed, never mind having to introduce a new taste for a sensitive child. Sometimes our home native culture is not the one in which we are most comfortably welcomed, says Helen.
That must have been so stressful and irritating.
I can just picture the commotion that a mother bear makes when her child is not going to have the food. Oh, yeah, that's stressful.
Yes. Thank you, Helen and Harold and Sarah, for sharing those stories with us. We are having so much fun meeting new global friends because of this podcast. Shireen spent most of her childhood living in the Middle East. Listen to her story about her family's attempts to bring chocolate back from Oman to India when she was growing up.
These flights would land in the early morning, so they'd land like at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And then you're in line for sometimes we've been in line for 3 hours, 4 hours, because sometimes they don't come for duty till like 3 or 4 a.m. So you're just in line and they're not there. So people will be sitting on their suitcases. They'd be sitting on the floor. They'd be waiting. I think the longest we waited was maybe 4 hours. I could be wrong. I was very young then, so I don't remember.
Sure.
But these customs agents, or the border security, as you'd call them here, they were not nice people. They suspected everything that you had in your suitcases. And my parents were these really systematic, organized people who would take an entire 2 to 3 hours to pack their suitcases. So back in the day when we traveled, my mom and dad would take at least 2 hours to pack the 3 suitcases. They would systematically pack clothes, the gift items, and they'd bring things like soaps and body powder and lotions and perfumes. And of course, chocolates, because my grandmother loved chocolates. My grandmother was a chocoholic before she passed. Mm-hmm. She loved chocolates. And even after she lost her teeth and she had dentures, she loved milk chocolates because she could just suck on them and they wouldn't mess up her dentures. Like nuts meant that she had to clean her dentures a little extra hard. And so my grandmother loved milk chocolate. Cadbury's Dairy Milk was her favorite milk chocolate. And so my mom would take the effort to buy all the chocolates, which my granny loved. And of course, other people, uncles and aunts, because chocolates were a big deal in the Middle East. And a lot of the chocolates were imported from the UK. Okay. Before the Middle East began to make their own chocolates. So you get these really good chocolates from England, which everybody in India loved, and it's the remnants of the colonial time. You have Cadbury's is still a big brand in India, I mean, it's now made in India, but Cadbury's does come from the UK, right? Yeah. And my mom and dad would take the time to pack everything neatly, and these customs agents would just open up your suitcase and they'd pull everything out. And my mom would freak out that they're messing up because they just pull clothes and they throw them on the floor because they're trying to see, what are you bringing? What are you not declaring? Do you have gold in there? Do you have jewelry in there? Do you have I don't know, videotapes and things like that? Because they try to get as much as they wanted so that they could take it for themselves. They were just not being very honest. And they like chocolates a lot. One year, I guess we just landed at a row where this guy was just not nice. And he pretty much took all the chocolates that my parents bought. Oh. And so over the years, my mom and dad used to buy chocolates. And there was this thing in the Middle East where they had these gigantic chocolate bars. So it would be like the size of a sheet of paper, like an A4 paper. Oh, okay. You would get like a block of Cadbury's Dairy Milk. It was like a slab. Yeah. And they were these huge bars. And you also would get these huge bars of Galaxy chocolates. It was like as big as a laptop. Wow. It was just a slab of milk chocolate. And everybody in India loved to get that because they could stick it in the freezer and then break it into smaller pieces into a jar. And you could just give each family one. It was just a very sweet thing to get this gigantic bar of chocolate. And this guy, he just took everything. Oh. And my mom was like, just leave some behind for my mother, and because, and he just gave one bag back. He just took it all. It was the saddest thing ever. That was the interesting chocolate story that I had to share.
Monica recorded this story for us about her grandmother not declaring the chirimoya fruit she was bringing into Florida from Ecuador. These precious confiscations happen all over the world.
Okay, so being a very strict by the rule person, I was also the oldest of my cousins. And I don't know if that time my grandma traveled with all 5 of us or just with me, my brother, and my cousin. And so my grandma's there with 3 to 5 grandkids. And so let's say I was 12. I don't really know. But being strict and stuff. So I had seen the signs that she was supposed to declare the fruit. And I think it said something about fines or jail, or fines and jail if you brought food or whatever. And so she did bring the fruit, chirimoyas. And so then this lady, she looks at her bag and she says, "You are not supposed to bring this." And this was after passing the part where she had declared that she didn't bring it or whatever. And so she asks her, "How much money did you bring?" And my grandma says, wisely, $200, which was a lie because I'm sure she had a lot more. So I'm thinking, first, embarrassed that my grandma's breaking the rules. Second, thinking my grandma's lying. And thankfully I didn't say anything because I didn't really know how much money she had. And then the lady said, "Well, you have to give me half of what you brought." And so my grandma gave her $100, and that was it. And then we left, and for years in my mind, I was like, she should have never done that. And on top of that, she lied and whatever. And then just as an adult, I remembered that. And I was like, oh my goodness, that lady pocketed the money because there was no transaction, right? It was not like you have to go to this place, pay the money, and they'll give you a ticket or a receipt. There was none of that. The lady basically just took the money. And I'm very glad my grandma didn't say that she had more money. I mean, it was insanity. And I wasn't old enough to question what the lady was doing. Like I said, I was just embarrassed and criticizing my grandma in my head because she didn't follow the rules and she lied. All the while not realizing. And I talked to a friend about this a couple days ago, and she said, they don't fine you. They just make you throw the stuff away. I guess they could fine you maybe if they didn't discover it and you put the fruit inside, and then maybe you created a plague or who knows. But anyhow, that was the story.
But I think the last part about the plague is hilarious. Right. Well, I mean, there are reasons that we're not allowed to bring fruit, right? And
Yes.
But gosh, I just think about how there's so many things happening in split seconds, right? The customs officers have to get us through, and they have to make sure that illegal stuff stays out. But people are trying to get stuff in, and also, and it's the grandma with her granddaughter.
I know, her poor grandma and I think she said that there were a handful of them, and she was the oldest. So Monica is 12, and she's got Ish, and she has several cousins with her, and they're all traveling. So I'm thinking that grandma already had her hands full of all these kids that she was traveling internationally with. And now she's dealing with a customs agent that is not following the rules in the way she was dealing with the situation. So yes, even grandmas have to suffer sometimes in these situations. They are not exempt from the problems.
It makes me think about how sometimes you instead of asking permission, you ask for forgiveness, right? And so I think that's in a lot of cultures, right? And you're going from one culture through the borders of another one, and it's like you're operating on all these different cultural levels.
That is so true. Because even, no matter where you're from, there are certain rules and laws that are okay to bend. You don't know necessarily which are the laws that are the ones that actually matter and the ones that don't. And you might go to a different place thinking that something doesn't matter, that maybe in that place it really does. And yeah, so interesting.
Usually in customs, it matters though, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that customs is not the place where you're going to get a lot of grace. But that does lead me to the last little story that I wanted to share about a recent customs interaction that I had. My husband and I recently, this summer, traveled back to Panama, where he had lived for 7 years of his childhood. And we went back to go visit some friends and see his old junior high and just his old house that he lived in when he was there. And it was a very sweet round trip story type of adventure.
So sweet.
But from the very beginning, when we landed, we had flown from Los Angeles straight to Panama City, and it was a red-eye flight. So we, had been flying, and then with the time change, we landed at what felt like 3 o'clock in the morning to us. And so we were tired. We got off the plane and, come around the corner to where you're going to go through customs and immigration, and looked up, and we see our friend Yadi, who works for immigration at the Panama City airport.
Yay!
And she was there waiting for us. She had actually just gotten off of her 12-hour shift working at the airport, and she was waiting for us. And she and the gal that was, directing traffic, they motioned us over to an agent who was just opening up her booth, and we got to go straight up to her. We didn't have to stand in the line. Woohoo! And we got to go straight through. And it was just, I felt a little bit bad for all the people that did have to stand in line, but it was just nice. It was so sweet to have some special treatment and to see that, sometimes people use their power for good when that it's not always people abusing the power that they have. And, all over the world, there are people who are going to follow the rules super strictly or not follow the rules and, do things that are wrong. But there are also people that will do things and, help people, not just always make things difficult. And so anyway, it was very sweet.
Yay. We heard custom stories from around the world, and there is familiarity in them all. We send people, ourselves, and items that are precious to us and hope to get through to the other side. We all want to be understood and recognized as we cross. We can learn new words and laws, feel welcomed or unwelcomed, maintain control or feel out of control, become poorer with things taken away, or richer with kindness given to us. We still make it across into our loved ones' homes and hearts on the other side. Indeed, friendship and families know no borders.
We're so grateful to our friends who shared their stories for this episode. We believe that sharing stories helps our understanding of the world grow larger while the distance between us grows smaller. To find out what stories we're collecting for our next customs episodes, sign up for our email list at roundtripstories.com or follow us on social media at Round Trip Stories Podcast. We would love for our listeners to hear your stories too.
And don't miss next week's episode with Jaime Aparicio, Mexican businessman, family guy, and lover of all things international. He has great stories to share with our Round Trip Stories podcast.
Thanks so much for listening, friends. We'll see you next time.
And if you go to another country and get a facelift, then not only are you covered by bandages, but you don't look the same. So it could be confusing. Not that you got a facelift, Sarah, but I know that happens.
Oh, so funny.